Hello, my name is Ricardo Aguilar. I attended Waterford Union High School back in 2000 to 2004, and then I ultimately graduated from Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Mr. Mahan wanted me to go over some of the things I went over in high school. Now I'm 34 years old, so it's been quite a while since high school. But from what I remember, I went to solo ensemble, did that several times, did other competitions with Mr. Mahan. I did 2 choirs, jazz for 1 year, and madrigals. Best years of my life. I loved high school. It was great. I was able to figure out who I was as a person, and then ultimately carry that on with me through college and then through my career. So high school, it really was the time to build that foundation that I needed. I remember being in choir and Mr. Mahan being really strict about how we entered a building or how we entered the stage, and then we all turn at the same time. And if something wasn't right on pitch, we'd stop and start over. And I remember all this stuff because it was all the fine tuning, and that kind of translates to everything that else you do. So if you see something that's a little bit off, you stop and then you perfect it. And that's carried on into my work life, my activities that I do with friends. Like, if I do something, I want to make sure that I do it well. So really, when high school was the time to build that foundation, right? So it's really important. It's fun, but it's also the stuff you kind of ingrain in your head and you remember later on in life. So he asked me, how has music impacted my life and still hold importance in everything that I do? Oh man, that's a loaded question. So music, of course, has impacted every facet of my life, good and bad. Sometimes I've gotten in trouble with it. Sometimes it's been the most amazing thing that's ever happened. So one of the stories I have, just one part of my life that is affected, you get to meet a lot of people, a lot of different kinds of people. So I remember being at Oral Roberts University and meeting my friend Natalie. And she was in choir with me. And this was in the very, very beginning of the first year that I was there. And she asked me for a ride because she was from Sweden and she didn't have a car. And she needed a ride to go to practice for the Tulsa Opera. Well, long story short, I ended up taking her. The opera director ended up seeing me and was like, hey, can you sing? I said, yeah. And I've never sung opera, but I said yes anyway. And got an audition with him and then ended up being the opera. They were at the time looking for people of color because we were doing Porgy and Bess. So they were having a hard time finding people of color in Tulsa. Ended up getting in the opera and ended up staying with them for 10 years. I ultimately became the president of the choir, and then I ended up being on the board of directors for 3 years. So music definitely can lead you into some pretty amazing things if you allow the process to happen. It also got me through some of the hardest times of my life. I went through some pretty horrible things in 2016 through 2017, and it was a really, really negative impact on my life. So I kind of stopped everything, and I stopped music. I was depressed. It wasn't a good time in my life. And I remember thinking, you know what brings me joy? Music. So I started little by little introducing music back into my life and going to church. And at the time, I was in a choir at this church and just being able to do these little solos and stuff like that. And it just built up my inner joy back. And I ended up meeting this person that worked for an airline and ended up applying for United Airlines and being a flight attendant for them for a couple of years, and then meeting someone else and then going to flight school. So now I'm a pilot and I enjoy life again. I have a reason to live, and it's all because of music. You see, music is, for me and for a lot of people, is the essence of life. It is the ultimate expression of joy, sadness, fear, content, And every emotion, every human emotion you can express through music. Thus, you're able to connect with people because some people feel the same way you do, and some people understand that the emotion that comes from music. So it's in every facet of your life. Another quick story. When I was in Tulsa, I remember. Well, let me back up a little bit. Back when I was in high school, Mr. Rahan made us learn this song called Hatikva. It's the Israeli national anthem. I remember thinking, I'm like, this is the most amazing song ever, not knowing what it was, and it was the Israeli national anthem. Now, fast forward a decade, and I'm living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm having lunch with someone I knew from church, and then someone I didn't know that was one of their friends. And she didn't go to our church. She went to a synagogue in Tulsa. And she was talking about how they're having this event and they're having a hard time finding someone that can sing, and they need someone to sing the Israeli national anthem. So I'm like, hey, I know the Israeli national anthem. And, she's looking at me and she's like, what? And because I don't exactly look like I speak Hebrew. And I was like, yeah, I learned it in high school. Would you like me to sing it for you? So I got onto YouTube, listened to it again, and all the words came back right away. And so I sang it to her, and I ended up singing for an event that had 5,000 people, and it was pretty amazing. So Mr. Mahan at the end asked me to sing you guys a song. So I'm going to sing the Israeli national anthem, Hatikva, that I learned in high school. Okay. Kolo baled vafinima nefresh Yehudi ho mizra ulfatze mizra kadima ayin letzion Sofia עוד לא עבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בשנות אפיים, להיות שם כובשין בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. And that was a song I learned in high school. I ended up singing for 5,000 people. So thank you all for your time. And take every moment you can with Mr. Mahan. Learn everything you can. Express what you need to express. Be free, because this is the time that you're able to build that foundation. Good luck, y'all. Bye.